that will never get old. I love that song. It's perfect. It works great, and I love it. So welcome to another episode of Talk. I am Josh of J Bauer Art. I am the host of this mess I call a show, and it is Tuesday, so that means it's another time for a new episode. It is episode number 25. Welcome everybody. I hope you're surviving through all the craziness and crap, and hopefully we'll be able to entertain you a little bit with tonight's guest. Tonight we're going a little bit more Halloween themed again, going a little bit more spooky, and hopefully we'll learn some things. Yes, we can do a show that we learn things. Will we remember them tomorrow? Probably not. But yeah, so let's get into all the plugs and the crap and the things so we can get our guest on here. So if you like any of the artwork behind me, if you want a Back Talk with Bauer sticker, if you want to purchase a print or anything to that nature, head over to jbauerart.com or jbauerartshop.com. You can check out all the graphic design stuff, the video editing that I'm doing, all that good crap. There's tons of prints, tons of paintings. The holidays are right around the corner. I know you don't want to hear it because it's not Halloween yet, but you got to go buy your shit. People want their Christmas presents, and you can go and buy them a freaking painting because who needs another goddamn tie? But anyways, so please head over to do that. You can also check out my Threadless site. You can go and get podcast shirts, the Back Talk with Bauer shirts. You can get the old retro shirts that I've done. More designs will be coming up soon. If you're watching this on Facebook, you can also catch it on the HWWS WebTV YouTube channel and Facebook page. You can also catch this on the all the podcast apps. Oh, my mic's falling. All the podcast apps. You can find me on Google, Apple, Twitch, Amazon, Spotify, Stitcher. God only knows what else. If I'm not on yours, let me know, and I will try to get on there. And then this show has a podcast. Yes, actually, somebody is giving me money to help me out with this show. I don't know who thought that was a good idea, but Kingdom of Comics is the sponsor, one of the big sponsors for Back Talk with Bauer. You can find them at facebook.com/Kingdom of Comics Shop. They're in Melbourne, Florida at 4320 South Babcock Street. And Jason and Paula are awesome. They have been longtime fans of mine, big supporters, and they stepped up and became an official sponsor supporter till the end of the year. So a big shout out to them. You can go and you can either go in person or go online to their Facebook page, and you can get new comics. They're an authorized CGC dealer. There's toys, graphic novels, rare collectibles, pops, statues, back issues, and more. If you go in on Fridays, you can get half off any beer with the purchase of a trade paperback or graphic novel. Make sure to ask about the drink to go deals. And they wanted me to let everybody know 2 big comics that dropped today is one called Dynamite, and it's really cool because it says die ! A mite. So I like that. And it's a Vampirella and Red Sonja zombie story. And then there's also the DC Black Label, the really dark adult comics that everybody's been really enjoying. You can, there's a Rorschach version of those out now, I guess. So that was just dropped out today. There's also some amazing, the 3 Jokers storyline is still going on. So tune in for that. And then we're actually going to be doing on October 27th or 29th. I can't remember off the top of my head. But towards the end of October, we're going to do a comic book review with Kingdom of Comics. It's going to be like a 45-minute, hour-long show. It'll be myself and Jason and Paula of Kingdom of Comics. And we are going to be chatting comic reviews. We're going to review the 3 Jokers storyline. Maybe some spoilers here and there, but we'll try to keep it spoiler free. And hopefully I'll get to read some other comics, and we will chat about those as well. And also, just a heads up, I am actually trying to find a new or another sponsor. I'd like to have 2 sponsors for live reads. My youngest brother Corey was a sponsor for a while, but he had to drop out because he bought a house, so he needs like furniture and food and things of that nature. I don't know what that's all about, but if you would like to be a sponsor for the show or a website sponsor, Facebook sponsor, I'm looking for a couple different options. So if you want to get with me, there's like month plans, there's 3-month plans. So just hit me up and I will get you squared away because I would love to work with some other businesses, some other people So just let me know. All right. All the shameless plugging is done. We made the sponsor happy, hopefully. So now to bring on our guest tonight. So she may look a bit familiar. I have now dubbed her the Mick Foley of the Back Talk with Bauer podcast. If you do not know what that is, you are not a wrestling fan, and shame on you. If you need it explained, go to your nearest wrestling fan, and they will break it down for you. But yeah, she may look familiar, but she's coming on as a different character tonight, and I'm very interested in chatting with her. It is the one, the only, the Haunted Harlequin. Hello, ma'am. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join me. And real quick, a big shout out to my mother-in-law. She just popped in. Hi, Mama Humphrey. It's good to see you. Love you. So we are discussing a few different things tonight. You have all kinds of awesome things planned for us, but our main thing is talking about the history of Halloween. Since we are in October, I thought it'd be cool to have you on and kind of break down some of the history. There's a lot to it, so we're kind of going
brief
descriptions. Yeah, it's only an hour-long show, so but yeah, where would you like to start?
One last final shameless plug.
Oh, yes. I love
shameless. If you want to get any Haunted Harlequin stickers, they were designed by the wonderful J. Bauer Art right here. I've also got mugs and shirts. Head over to hquinarts.com and we can get you all sorted out in the online shop.
And if you buy one and when you get it, post it on social media and tag both of us so we have more shameless plugs.
Oh, yes.
We're all about that here.
Joys in life.
So where do we start?
Well, let's start with a brief overview of the history of Halloween, because as I did say earlier, before we went live, there are a lot of different contributing factors. So it's not going to be possible to hit everything in an hour-long show. But we can hit the basics. As far as we can tell, the first influence of Halloween come from about 2,000 years ago. The Celts, the area where they lived, would be kind of where the Ireland, Scotland, UK area is now. They had a celebration called Samhain. Samhain was the end of the summer, the end of the harvest season, and the beginning of the cold winter. Now, 2,000 years ago, winter was associated with death. Because
if you're in Ohio, it's still like that.
Oh, I can imagine it gets cold and people keel over.
Yeah, exactly.
It's much harder to survive a winter without modern technology and modern accessibility to things like food and water.
And Netflix.
And Netflix, yes. Now, they also believed that the veil between our world and the other side was thinnest during Samhain. It meant that their druids, or basically their priests, their I'm going to say fortune telling, but really it was divination.
Okay.
There's a small difference. I am going to be doing a video on that when I figure out how to write the script, because the writer's block has been happening.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So their divination was much more powerful, much more accurate. And they believed that different forces, whether they be good, bad, somewhere in between, were able to walk among us for the one night. That is very similar to the Dia de los Muertos of Mexico. I will get into that in a bit. Now, at Samhain, they'd light a giant bonfire, and they would, at the end of the event, it was very ritualistic. They used the bonfire to relight their house fires that were blown out for the night.
Okay.
It's kind of a symbol of prosperity through the winter. Now, as time went on, like I said, this was a very, very popular tradition. But it does have a lot of occult, what we'd call now occult bases. whether it be the belief that demons walked among us or things like that. And when the Christian church came along and were converting people in that area, they weren't, huge fans of this, as they saw it, demonic, occultic ceremony going on.
I wonder why.
Samhain is still celebrated today by multiple different brands of witches, because not everyone is pagan, not everyone is Wicca.
Right.
But many witches still do celebrate Samhain, Lita.
Do we still get to do a giant bonfire? Because I'm down for that.
I've seen bonfires with witches dancing naked, yes.
That's even more fun. I didn't know you could level up a giant bonfire, but dancing witches that are naked? Yeah.
Tons of witches, yes.
I like it.
Still been invited to a few, but they've all been when we're still in quarantine. And it's, as much as I'd love to celebrate, it's not worth dying for.
No.
Or rather, my roommate's dying. I wouldn't die, they would. I say that in complete seriousness. They're both high risk.
Gotcha.
So I do.
Sounds funny with your certain get up, your current get up.
Catholic Christian. I can't remember which. They're both based in the same religion. They're different. Catholicism and Christianity are two brands of the same religion. The church decided that, well, this doesn't work for us. So on November 1st will be a holiday called All Saints' Day, where we will celebrate our saints, celebrate our religion. And they dubbed October 31st Hallowmas. Now, this is not a play on Christmas. Hollow, not hollow like there's nothing inside. Hollow as in if you were to pronounce it correctly, it would be Hallowmas. Hallow means something is saintly, sanctified, pious, priestly.
Okay.
So, and then Mass is like a mass, a religious gathering.
Okay.
So Hallowmas, or what we now call Halloween, was literally a mass of the saints.
Okay.
And just to make sure to press out any chance at them just moving Samhain, which they wouldn't have done because it's not really a movable thing, they called October 30th All Hallows Eve, which we still do today. All Hallows Eve is also kind of associated with Halloween night, but they're not the same thing. So you've got, at that point in time, you had All Hallows Eve on October 31st, Hallowmas on October 30th, when the Celts were celebrating Samhain, and All Saints' Day on November 1st.
Gotcha.
Now, those are just the Celtic and Christian influences. I did say there was also some occultism involved.
There we go.
You'll see that in a lot of our different traditions. Now, there are several different reasons for children wearing masks. Some of them are because it became a very popular tradition for there to be a lot of pranks and vandalism on Halloween. And children would wear masks to keep their identities a secret.
Okay.
But it was also believed around the time of if you think like Salem witch trials, you'll be in the general area.
Right.
They believed that, much like the Celts, demons could walk among us for that night, and they wanted to keep their children safe. So they dressed them up like demons.
Oh, okay.
It's the same thing with jack-o'-lanterns. Jack-o'-lanterns think like a easy version of a protection spell. They were meant to protect. It wasn't quite the same thing. It wasn't carve a fun face. It was, the mixture of the fire and the gourds, because it wasn't limited to only pumpkins.
Okay.
it's supposed to keep your household safe from these forces that could try to hurt you. Now, we do have, so that's where you'll get a lot of the people dressing up. If you look at the most recent videos from the Harlequin that happened this past Saturday, you'll find a history of haunted horror and haunting attractions with the amazing Deb Elish.
Oh, very cool.
She did explain a bit about it was the night of mischief when everyone all the kids would go to basically commit vandalism.
Right.
And that's where trick-or-treating came from, and the horror attractions.
Okay.
It was a distraction to, bring down the amount of property damage.
Give the little bastards some candy so they chill the hell out and not key my car.
They would throw things through windows. They would burn things. People would have their fences stolen. Like, you have to be very, very dedicated to steal a fence.
Very, very, especially back then. I feel like they were even more sturdy back then because they didn't want them to leave. So that takes a lot of work.
But there was a lot that would happen. Now, talking about decorations these days, that I think mostly comes from the human desire to feel included. We all want to celebrate. We all want to decorate. We want to make it pretty. But the kinds of decorations we use do have origins. I've already kind of gone over the jack-o'-lantern. You see in the fall a lot of pumpkins, leaves, gourds. Those have become kind of traditional, but it started because really that's the only thing that grows around this time.
Okay. So they kind of just used whatever was around, and now it's become...
Because your fall harvest is going to be things like apples, pumpkins, squash, zucchini, things of that nature, corn. Those are all fall harvests. Whereas, you see things like a lot of berries in the summer. It's not because they help refresh you. It's because summer is when those are harvested.
Gotcha. I never really even thought of that, so that's very cool.
I live in Florida, where there are no seasons.
No seasons. No, it's just, there's seasons, but it's just hotter, and then you're on fire.
And then we get 2 weeks of actual winter.
And that varies from year to year. It could be earlier, it could be later. You never know when you're going to get it.
And they're not always all together. It's 2 weeks total.
Yeah. It's about an hour here, maybe a day here. It was relatively nice today, though. At least
I honestly didn't go outside.
I felt bad for the guy that works with me. He was outside doing a giant truck trailer, putting vinyl on it, and it wouldn't be as terrible, but it was also all reflective. It was basically putting it on a giant mirror the whole time. So yeah, he was kind of roasted by the end.
Poor dear.
Yes.
Oh dear. A lot of what we'll see now are, especially starting this year, you'll see crystal balls, you'll see skeletons, snakes, spiders. Halloween, because of the fear that has traditionally followed throughout it, whether it be a fear of not making it through the winter, a fear of demons eating your children, or just the haunted, fear of vandalism, the haunted attractions, the horror movies, things like that. A lot of costumes do tend to be scarier. A lot of the decorations are creepy crawlies and things that are generally people can be a bit afraid of, like spiders and snakes. Crystal balls, while they are generally associated with the I call them faux fortune tellers, the ones that have all the little gadgets and the gizmos and
the bad accents and everything. Yeah, it's a complete package.
That's what they're usually associated with. However, crystal balls are used for real divination. I have never practiced with one, but I know several people that do, and it's not so much about what you see in your eyes, it's about what you see out of the corner.
All right.
The ball is a focal point
Mm-hmm.
But those are common decorations now. There's also bats. Again, something else that people can be afraid of. Bats, ghosts, skeletons, and pumpkins are very, very symbolic of Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
Skeletons because of the death. Ghosts because of the death.
A lot of death.
Pumpkins because of the history of the fall harvest and jack-o'-lanterns and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And bats because they're both associated with vampires, which is a favorite Halloween monster,
Mm-hmm.
as well as just kind of a thing that goes bump in the night. Some of the other decorations we use are called sugar skulls.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
These come from the Mexican Dia de los Muertos. Now, much like the ancient Celts, the Mexicans believed that their families, their deceased family members, could visit them during Dia de los Muertos. It was the only time they could cross over and visit us.
Mm-hmm.
They would lay out, and again, there was a Harlequin panel on this with my dear, dear friend Ada. I am not going to try to pronounce her last name. I will massacre her. But she is Mexico-born. She lives in Mexico City, about 10 blocks from the Pyramid of the Sun. He does know that I'm recording, right?
It's either him or the bird right now, so.
No, there's the door. Okay, he went back out to his parlor. I think he forgot.
Probably.
So during Dias de los Muertos, it's really like a 3-day celebration. If you want to know what all 3 days are for, I don't remember. But if you go to the video on Mexican Horror and the Day of the Dead on my Harlequin Arts Cosplay and Crafts page, you can watch Ada's entire spiel. She will tell you all about everything. She did cover all 3 days, and it does vary based on your family traditions.
Mm-hmm.
But she gave us hers.
Gotcha.
They would set up altars called ofrendas to each of for their families, as well as public ofrendas for celebrities,
right,
in order to guide their spirits. They would trail marigold petals from the gravesite to the ofrenda. They would also leave out offerings. Now, these have to be fresh. You cannot reuse things. It has to be like new food or a new item. It cannot be, because the idea is they can take the spirit of that thing, and once the spirit is taken, it's gone. You can't reuse it.
Right. I just see somebody laying out old McDonald's and hoping it works.
And again, Dia de los Muertos is based very strictly in death. Now, the Mexicans have a very different perception of death. One of their stories dates back to the time of the Aztecs. This all took place at the Pyramid of the Sun, which is actually 10 blocks from where Ada lives. So that's kind of fascinating to realize that she lives that close.
Oh, yeah.
But there was a princess who was in love with a soldier. But he didn't love her back. Well, a guard, not a soldier. He loved a poor peasant girl. Now, the princess was also one of the priestesses for the gods. The Aztecs had a very different relation with death and sacrifice than we do, so it was a great honor to be sacrificed. And as a priest, she decided who was sacrificed. She would communicate with the gods, and they'd tell her who they wanted. So what do you know? The next time it comes time to pick a sacrifice, the girl that the guard is in love with is chosen. The princess says the gods want her.
They told me directly. I swear it's her.
They how to say? before you're sacrificed for about a week, you are just it's one of the highest honors. You're one of the most popular people. You're lavished with things, lots of finery. They go through all of that. And this girl is sacrificed. And out of her heart sprouts the most beautiful rose that they've ever seen. And the guard takes it as his lover, sending him this flower from the other side. So in effect, the princess's plan backfires, and she's very upset. So she thinks, well, I'm royalty. And this girl is just a peasant, so if that came out of her heart, imagine what would come out of mine.
Oh, God.
Fine, it is time for a sacrifice. She says, the gods have spoken and they want me. Sacrifice day comes. She is sacrificed to the gods. And nothing blooms from her heart. She's buried. And months go by. Until the very end of October during the Dia de los Muertos celebration, because they did still celebrate back then. And out of her grave blooms a flower no one has seen before.
Oh, damn.
The flower known as the marigold.
Oh.
And that's why they sprinkle those petals from the grave sites to their ofrendas and their altars. Because a flower that comes out of death and only blooms around that time of year. And like I said, we could go much more into this, but I think I will leave it at that for now.
Nice. That is, I didn't know most of that, so that's actually pretty cool. And there's, and like we've been saying, there is tons of different things that, I mean, we've been doing some kind of Halloween thing for ages now. And
to get into it, looking on, I know it's not technically the most reliable,
right,
but Wikipedia alone, if you look at the history section, has 8 to 10 different versions of influences, because they're, especially as an American holiday. Oh, I did forget to mention, the traditions of the Celts came over to America when a lot of the Irish immigrated during the Great Potato Famine of the 1840s. That's how it got here.
Oh, okay.
Because they immigrated and they brought their traditions with them.
Right. Yeah, and that's our Halloween now is definitely a mash of a bunch of different things, and some things that are more interesting than others. I've always
occultism. It's occultism light.
Right. I like it. We were actually talking, because even if you look at Halloween, like in the early, we were talking, I think you were part of the conversation. We were talking the really creepy kid costumes from the 1920s, how disturbing they looked back then. Because now you dress up as Woody or Buzz or your favorite Marvel character, but back then they made a lot of their costumes. There wasn't a ton of places to go out and buy them, or even if there were, people didn't have the money to go and pay for them. So if you go and look into Halloween costumes of the 1920s, you will not sleep right for a week, because they are disturbing as all hell. I'm waiting for you to put a curse on me right now with all your mixing over there.
I know it looks scary, but I do promise this is lavender and star anise. Both are used for purification.
Okay.
I know that I've been kind of closed about this for a while. A lot of you don't know this, but I am a practicing witch, on and off. I've been very, very bad recently.
Uh-oh.
I've kind of ignored it, but I need to get back.
Well, you've been a bit busy.
A little bit, yes. They're both used for purification. It allows for, and I know this sounds like hippie mumbo jumbo a little bit, but bear with me.
Oh, yeah.
I did say that I would read Oracle for Josh here. Now, there is a difference between Oracle and Tarot.
Yeah, this is where I was curious, because I've never heard of Oracle, but I've had tarot card readings, I think, a few times here and there.
Tarot decks, you have your major arcana and your minor arcana.
Okay.
Your major arcana are going to be cards like the priest, the priestess, emperor, empress, the world, justice, death, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Your minor arcana are going to be your 4 suits: cups, pentacles, swords, and wands.
Okay.
Each card has a very strict meaning and a very strict way it needs to be read in accordance with other cards. It's very, very structured.
Mm-hmm.
Most tarot decks follow the Rider-Waite model. So once you learn to read, as long as the deck you're picking up follows the same model as the deck you learned to read on, you can read basically any tarot deck.
Okay.
Oracle is much less structured. It is much less intuitive. There are no suits.
All right.
These are all just individual cards, technically with different meanings. However,
Okay.
whatever the book says, because they always give you a little book that goes along with it to kind of explain things.
Mm-hmm.
What the book says isn't necessarily right.
Okay.
I'm a very empathic person. I always have been, which is why I like Oracle. It's a much more empathic, intuitive style of reading.
Okay, so you're getting basically feelings and
Mm-hmm.
you're kind of interpreting what they are.
Yeah, people will hear me stumble over my words. It's because when I read, I don't get words. I get feelings, emotions, pictures, and you have to then translate that into English.
Mm-hmm.
The cards help. It's not like you can, and I do always say, if you don't like what the cards say, change it.
Right.
What the cards say is only accurate about 2 weeks out, we estimate.
Okay.
And so if you get anything further than that, it's not going to be as accurate.
Okay.
But at the same time, what your cards say is what's going to happen if you change nothing about what you're doing right now.
Right.
So if you don't like what you hear, change it.
Now, I think I've done a couple of, like I said, a couple of tarot card readings, and usually you kind of have to touch the cards and like either fiddle with them or pick certain ones, or you kind of have to be involved with it.
You can. It is much more accurate that way.
Okay.
However, being empathic and learning to read during quarantine,
Right.
I've learned. I was taught by someone who has been featured on Harlequin before, Richard Lea Lillard,
Okay.
the gentleman psychic. He is a psychic that has been featured on multiple different TV shows as well as Ghost Adventures.
Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes.
So he is very, very good at what he does. He's a very dear friend of mine, such a sweetheart. So what we're going to do, the reason I do this is because it cleanses the cards. I read by basically infusing this with your energy.
Okay.
Like I said, it sounds a little bit like hippie mumbo jumbo, but just bear with me. I use that word because I don't know what other word to use. This cleansing here pull out any residuals from the past to make sure that I'm not getting anyone else. I'm only going to do a 3-card pull for you. No, I'm going to do 4. I'm going to do 4.
Okay. We've got plenty of time, so whatever you want to do.
Well, if I did a 16, it would take about an hour, so we're going to do 4.
Well, 4 is good.
Actually, I'll let you pick then. 3 cards is just past, present, future.
Okay.
4 cards is past, present, future, and something that's crossing your path. And 6 cards is the 6 possibilities for your future.
All right, let's do the 6.
Let's do the 6?
Yeah.
So I'm going to have you breathe with me real fast. 3 in, 3 out, okay?
Okay.
Whenever you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay. I'm going to start shuffling. When you feel something that tells you that I need to stop, tell me.
Okay.
This is where this gets a little difficult because these are rather large cards.
And you don't have, it's gonna sound wrong, but you don't have the biggest hands.
No, I don't.
You got little tiny hands. So if you guys are just listening to this, you guys definitely should go and check out HWWS WebTV to see this in action.
Yes, because I am going to be showing the pictures to the camera.
Yeah, so you guys can get a better feel of it and everything.
For those of you just listening, I will do my best to explain what is being shown, but really, especially if you're interested in learning Oracle and you're kind of following this, I go over to the HWWS WebTV YouTube channel and watch what I do.
Yeah. And you can stop.
Fantastic.
It is nice to have somebody else playing with cards in their hands during the show, though, because usually it's just me.
So, 6 possibilities for your future. Oh, this is fascinating. So these are going to kind of all come together into one message.
Okay.
So it'll become more clear as we go through the 6 cards.
Okay.
Now there are 2 ways cards can come up. Either right side up, or as this card did, inverted.
Okay.
When it's inverted, it does change the meaning. Either it is the complete opposite, or it's adjacent. Such as it could mean, instead of getting promoted, you're going to get fired. Or
Lovely.
Instead of you getting promoted, Bunny would be getting promoted.
Ah, okay.
So it could be either thing. That's something that you really have to determine either way. Now, this isn't a prediction card. It's an advice card.
Okay.
Especially when it comes up inverted. Flip this right side up so you can see the picture.
Yeah, I like pictures.
The joy card is about enjoying your life in the moment, not stressing so much about what's coming next. Right side up, it means you're doing that. Inverted, it means you need to do that.
I feel like I'm getting judged because you know me personally. So
I did not rig this deck. These cards just came up. All I did was read them. Like I told you, this is my get your shit together deck. This is a very good deck. Next, you have the death card.
Oh, nailed it. There we go.
Now, a lot of people, especially through media, think that this card means literal death.
Right.
It does not. Death is change.
Okay.
On the card, for those of you just listening, there is a death moth and a skull.
It almost looks like that movie cover, but I'm blanking on the movie at the moment.
I don't know which one you're talking about, honestly.
I'll have to find it later because it's going to bug me.
The moth is symbolic of a cycle. This is a cycle of change. This is not... You did not get the mummy card. The mummy card also represents change, but that one is a final, irreversible change.
Okay.
This is change that comes in a cycle. Whatever it may be, like I said, it's a bit ambiguous as opposed to tarot. But there's change coming for you. It's not irreversible, but it's part of a cycle.
Okay.
I'm thinking it's relative to your art, just because I do know you. You moved away from your art for a while because you kind of just hit a wall.
Right.
So it could be relating to that, or it could be something else completely.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of in the middle of getting back into it. I got a couple commissions, and then we're doing a live painting thing with Joey later this month. So maybe that's it.
I talked to him earlier today.
Oh, yeah?
It was at Disney today.
Yes.
Next, we have the inverted skull of light.
Mm-hmm.
Right side up, for those of you just listening, it is a skull with a pretty pastel background. There is not
cool. I like it.
But the skull of light is illumination and realization. Inverted, lack thereof.
Okay.
Not necessarily because you're dumb. It's just something in your blind spot. It's just something that you're not thinking about.
Gotcha.
So this card is telling you, take a pause, take a breath, and make sure you consider everything so you don't miss a realization.
Okay.
Don't bury yourself in work.
I still feel like this is rigged. Real quick before you go on to the next card. What's up, Patricio from With a Side of Chaos? Good to see you, sir.
Patricio. How are you doing, darling? Black cat.
Okay.
The black cat is usually considered bad luck, but if you look at the Latin, the word for cat and luck are the same.
Okay.
Felix Felicus means the luck of the cat. In ancient Egypt, cats were worshipped as gods. The black cat represents both fortune and opportunity. For those of you who can't see this because you're just listening, it is a black cat sitting on some books. Behind the cat, there is smoke and 2 green cat's eyes. And some candles and things like that. Now, the black cat, like I said, fortune and opportunity. You're going to have opportunities coming your way. But they're not necessarily something you worked to earn. Think like right place, right time.
Okay.
I can't say what and I can't say when.
Right.
This could also be bunny, honestly. This feels more feminine.
She keeps getting all the opportunities. What the hell?
It could be bunny.
Okay. For those that don't know, Bunny is my wife. That is her nickname and what everybody in our group of friends call her. Because
I know her name is Kayla, but it just doesn't connect. I met her as Bunny. She will always be Bunny.
Yep, she is the bunny.
Next, you have the inverted dawn.
Okay.
There is an owl flying in front of the sun over a river, like the rising sun.
Okay.
Now, the dawn, if it were right side up, is like light at the end of the tunnel, the dawn after the storm, things like that. Inverted means you're going into the storm.
Oh, fun!
Shit that's going to be coming. But then again, that's just how life works.
Right.
Just because you've got some shit that's coming does not mean it's bad. Like it's life-ending, horrible stuff. No. This card really connects with 2 of the previous ones. It connects with both death and the skull of light, because with the shit you're going to be going through, both dawn and change are cycles. This just means you're coming to the harder part of your cycle. If you keep your eyes open and make sure you keep your mind open to different realizations, you'll be fine. And that brings us to our last card. The Witch.
Oh.
The Witch is an interesting one because it's less about the witch herself and more about the fire that is in between her hands.
Okay.
Much like the witch's power, the fire has the power to both create and destroy. Inherently, it is not evil. It is not destructive. It all depends on the circumstances.
Right.
It all depends on what you do with it. So based on the change that's coming your way, I'd say that the deck is telling you you've got some shit coming.
Well, I could have told you that. I mean, it is me.
Take a deep breath.
Mm-hmm.
Remember to live in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And remember that you can control how bad it is. Just because it's bad doesn't mean it will destroy you. Fire can both create and destroy, and so can you. Any questions?
Not that I can think of at the moment. What was that?
No, it was not rigged.
Yeah, I work too much, but I can't help it. I get bored other than that.
Because I'm going to pull these up here so you can see I'm not looking at these. I've got no idea what is where.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a 1-card message for Josh? Winter. Winter literally means to rest.
I don't like resting. I rested kind of on Sunday. Doesn't that count?
Graveyard.
That might be the clip of the week right there.
In Victorian times, graveyards were not a scary thing. Graveyards were not ominous. They weren't these horrifying places, even though there literally were we keep dead people.
Right.
Because in Victorian times, going to cemeteries was more of a family outing. You'd pack up the kids, you'd pack a lunch, you'd look at the sculptures, you'd talk with your deceased family members, you'd go for walks. A relatively happy place, actually. Some of the most amazing art was in cemeteries, if you look at the tombs and the sculptures and things like that.
Right.
Yet people are afraid of them.
Mm-hmm.
The graveyard is unnecessary fear.
Okay.
I'm going to call you out here for a minute.
Oh, now you're going to call me out.
Unnecessary fear, like what I'm feeling and assuming is your fear, of feeling useless if you're not being productive, which is why you don't rest.
Yeah.
It's not rigged, it's just a very blunt deck.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too, I honestly can't. Like when I sit here and work, and when I do this, or when I'm sitting over at that computer and working on designs or videos or whatever, it's not work to me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of the time, like there's some stuff that's more stressful than others, but half the time it's my release. You know, I have a full-time day job, so I go and work, you know, the 9 to 5 or whatever it is, and then come home and then I do the fun stuff. So to me, it's like I actually get bored of just sitting around and watching TV. My hands aren't active, so I'm bored.
That's fair.
Right.
But you don't have to watch TV to be enjoying life in the moment. Yeah.
I've never been good at the enjoy life at the moment thing.
Take the time to be impulsive.
Mm-hmm.
Do something because you want to and not because you need it for a show or you need it for a commission or things like that. You can still do your art, but don't do it because someone's paying you to do it or because you need it for something that's coming up.
Right. Yeah, I think I've overbooked. It's probably talking about right now because October has become
insane.
Yeah. And I didn't do it on purpose. I just kind of looked at the calendar the other day.
That is what the Dawn card is talking about then. Mm-hmm. You're going into a time where you're not going to have room to breathe.
Okay.
Come November, it's the dawn after the dark. Okay.
Well, then I am actually behaving there because I booked 2 shows for Saturday during the day to do that are going to be like bonus shows, but I'm going to save the drop of the audio or the YouTube and audio versions for the first 2 weeks of November, so there's not going to be a live show. So I'll take like 2 weeks off of this at least.
See, there you go.
Yeah, see, I'm trying.
And just so everyone is aware, if anyone does want to book a reading with me, I do multiple different kinds of readings.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you once we were done, because this was actually very cool.
Go to hquinarts.com. It doesn't matter what page you're on. If you scroll down to the bottom, there should be a contact me. Go into my menu. There's also a contact me. Just shoot me an email either to harlequin@hquinarts.com or through any of my social media, which is all linked at the bottom of every single one of my web pages, and we can get you all booked up. I can do it. Currently, I don't offer in person because of the apocalypse. However, I do offer all for the same price. This does not affect the price. The number of cards will affect your price, and we can all talk about that later.
Yeah.
But either video chat, phone call, or actually through messages. I will say video chat is the most accurate, and it's the easiest for me, but I can do the other two as well.
Yeah, I would find messaging being... Phone call would be all right if you don't want to be on camera or whatever, but it's just between you two. But yeah, the messaging would be very interesting, and stuff can get messy in text.
It is much harder, but I've done it.
Gotcha.
I will also say what Josh got was just a basic advice for your future reading.
Right.
Most of witchcraft is based on intention. 99% of it is intention. So, if you want a different kind of reading, just let me know at the beginning and keep that subject in mind when we're doing the breathing that you saw Josh and I do. Or heard if you were listening.
Yeah.
And I've done anything from career to relationships to family members to things like that.
That's awesome. So yeah, definitely reach out to Miss Quinn, Miss Harlequin, and book a reading. She is fantastic. This was very cool. I do have to ask, because we got a couple more minutes. I'm just curious because it popped in my head. What do you, when it's not the apocalypse time, what do you normally do for Halloween?
Oh, it varies.
Okay. What are some of the things you've done in past Halloweens?
I've worked my friend's haunted house.
Okay, I can definitely see that.
Moving to Tampa. So generally we do Cocktails and Screams, because we know the owners of Cocktails and Screams. They're very dear friends of ours. Okay. Or throw a Halloween party or something with people.
Right.
Though one of those two knows this, Sean doesn't. I don't really care if he finds out. I just can't get him to sit still long enough because he is very, very busy at work right now.
Gotcha.
I'm going to, in my room, so I don't make a mess of the rest of the house, set up a blanket fort.
Oh, nice.
And so that we can do, like homemade pizza, snacks, some alcohol, and some Halloween candy.
There you go.
Scary movie pajama party.
That's awesome.
Guys, we got to get creative this year.
Oh, yeah. Well, and that's actually the Hanging with Web show crew is doing the another episode of Film Freaks on Halloween. It's either at 7 or 8 o'clock, and we are, what the hell are we watching? A Vincent Price movie. House on Haunted Hill, I think it is.
That sounds right, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So we're going to be doing that one.
I haven't seen that one yet.
No?
No. My go-tos are usually Trick or Treat.
Okay.
Any of the Freddy movies, because I love Freddy. Some of the Jason movies are good. Some of them I find a little...
I love Jason in space. It's so funny. Now, see, I honestly would think you would be more into vampire movies. I thought those
were a lot of vampire movies, but I don't consider those. Those are just movies I watch.
Those are your just everyday movies. Because for those that don't know, I'm pretty sure Miss Harlequin is an actual vampire. For the longest time, I thought she just had fangs all the time. My wife and I still have a bet that you are actually a vampire. We'll figure that out one of these days. But
all I will say is I can neither confirm nor deny this statement.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for hopping on with me, taking the time to do this episode. I thought it was very fitting that it was the 13th of October.
Of course.
Yeah, when I threw the date at you, you're like, yes.
For those of you who are, like me, a practitioner, make sure you do your self-care this Halloween, because not only is it a Saturday, it is a full moon.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was kind of the perfect thing for everything to do a really cool Halloween, and then the apocalypse.
I am not much of an astrologist, but I do know about opposites, and I know what a new moon means. New moon means change, like the good kind of change. So,
okay,
by the process of just figuring shit out, that the full moon is not that.
Okay.
It is not that.
Gotcha.
You'll just set out, make your moon water, do your stuff, and watch your favorite scary movies. Or dance naked around a bonfire. It is Samhain.
Yes. Just don't get burned. Watch it. You gotta stay safely away from it because you're all exposed and we don't want you burning your tushy.
I mean, if you rig things right and you get your sticks set up, you could also set up like marshmallows while you're dancing.
Making marshmallow time. I love it.
I mean, I think it's wonderful.
Well, thank you, Miss Quinn, so much for taking time to teach us some Halloween history and for the reading. I greatly appreciate it.
Of course.
And
I would love to read Bunny sometime.
Definitely. Yeah, she's totally down for that. So we will get with you soon about that. But if people would love to follow Harlequin, your cosplay, all the fun things you do, where can they find you at?
I did actually take your suggestion, and I am putting together a Harlequin Facebook page.
Yes.
Just how it sounds, HARLECON. Go ahead and search that. And find links to most of my media at hquinarts.com.
Yep. Yeah, make sure to follow her, like her, hit the YouTube channel, all the good stuff. Harlequin has been a friend of mine for a while now, and she's a huge supporter. This is her. I definitely know you have the third on Back Talk with Bauer, and I think you've been on at least 2 of Back Talk with Friends, so you are the reigning champion, I believe.
I've done both of the Harlequin ones.
Yeah, so I have 4 total. So I did one during...
No. Okay, so then at CyberCon, I wasn't on screen, but I was giving you guys a ton of crap in the comments.
That's what it was. Because I thought you were part of another one, but yeah, you were causing trouble in the comments. So, but a big thank you to her, and please go follow her and support her because she is one of my awesome friends. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. I greatly appreciate it. Get the Haunted Harlequin sticker designed by me, sold by her. It's one of my favorite logos I've done for her so far. I've done 3, and this is my favorite one.
He's done every single logo I have.
See, we help each other out all the time. So this has been Back Talk with Bauer, episode number 25. Like I said, this Saturday, the 17th, I'm going to be doing 2 episodes live on Facebook with Nick Chambers and then John, known as the Blind Woodsman. One is at 10 a.m. The other one is at noon. So be sure to catch those. If you like the artwork behind me, you want to buy a sticker, want to buy a shirt, head over to jbauerart.com. Check out the shop. Check out the Threadless account. Please like, share, and subscribe on all the stuff. You can find me on Twitch, Google Podcasts, Apple, Amazon, all the good stuff. And then support Hanging with Web Show, the HWWS WebTV YouTube channel where you can find my show, Hanging with Web Show, Legend of the Traveling TARDIS, Saturday morning cartoons, and a ton more. I am actually working on that website right now, so you'll be seeing that coming out soon. But other than that, I think that's about it. I will catch you guys next week. Later.